Hi, today's our Q&A number 26. Jason's not able to join us today and we're doing it a little later than normal, so I apologize for both of those things. But I'm here and today and we don't have any announcements, and so I'm going to address a question that someone had in the group and talk about that question. So the question was, what do I do for motivation at the beginning before I'm able to apply up, and before I can I'm mastered up and be able to, anyway, so how can I figure out how I can, what motivation can I use as I'm going through my up mastery journey and before I'm actually able to understand and master up. So people who've caught the vision of what up is, and they're like, okay, once I figure out what up is, then I won't need any other form of motivation. But what do I do until then? And so that was a part of the question. And then the second part is, how do I see something with a lens that I don't currently have? So when we talk about the lens, someone could imagine, okay, I'd like to use this lens, but they don't currently have that lens, or they are currently using a lens that they'd like to change, but they're currently using that lens, so they don't know how to change it. And actually these two questions just go right hand in hand because, hey Kyle, welcome. Message any questions that you have. I'd love to address any questions that you have now. And then if you have any questions during the week, message me ahead of time, and then me and my team and I can discuss them before the live so that we have even more like clarity on the answer to your question. But I'm happy to answer any questions as they come up. So, okay, so we're talking about what motivation can you use in the middle, in the middle stages. So you realized that, okay, when I hit my hero stage and I've got a handle on the concepts, I won't need another form of motivation because I understand about up and how it's its own motivation. But what do I do until then? Okay, so that's the question, and I'd like to address it by giving you some boosts or prompts, or just talk about ways that you can do that. So the first way I'd like to look at it is you as an individual have learned skills. Like there are skills you have that are unique to you, and you have mastered something. Like there are things you can do now that you didn't used to be able to do. And so I'd like you to take an example from your own life and say, how did I master this skill? And ask yourself, what was my process? What did I use to be able to motivate myself to learn this new skill? And that will give you insight into how to motivate yourself to learn up mastery until you're far enough along in your journey that you no longer need any kind of motivation, because up is its own motivation, right? Uninterrupted peak experience is what up stands for. And realizing that if you never are not in peak experience, then you won't need to motivate yourself. You won't have something you kind of have to push against, because you'll naturally be in that flow zone and it will be uninterrupted. So that's where we're all headed. That's where our up journey is taking us. But in the interim, there will be times when you won't feel like studying your up mastery. There will be times when you think, oh yeah, I could watch the video, but I don't really feel like it. I could work on my guidebook. Oh yeah, I have hero game changers and applications, but I haven't even thought about them today. You know, things like that, where you're like on the journey, you have a glimpse of what up is, but you still need motivation. So the first thing I asked you to do is to look back and say, how have I learned a skill? And then realize that however you learn that skill can help you with up mastery. And so that one will be unique to you, and then I'll give you some examples of things that other people have done in their journey. So one of the things that people have done is that they create an accountability partnership. So they find someone else who also wants to master up, and then they keep each other going. So it's kind of like having a workout partner. I remember there was a time when I lacked motivation to exercise, and I had a walking partner, and we were supposed to go walking on certain days at certain times, and we just we just would meet at our certain place to go walking unless one of us called and canceled. And I remember thinking, I don't want to call and cancel because she wants to go. She's been counting on it. So then I would arrange my schedule, and even if I was tired or had some other excuse, I would go because I had my accountability partner that was waiting for me on the corner kind of thing. And so if that works for you, then I would strongly recommend finding someone else who wants to go through this journey with you, who you can egg each other on, you can cheer each other on, you can remind each other, you can ask questions, and you can have someone to bounce off ideas, because Up Mastery has so many ideas that need kind of a discussion or a better understanding of. And so if you have someone else to talk through things, that's a great way to do it. So find someone, and if you want to reach out to someone in the group, like anyone who's commented, I know this would be maybe out of some people's comfort zones, but they could message other people in the group and say, hey, I liked what you commented on. Would you be interested in being my accountability partner with Up Mastery? And if that's like way out of your comfort zone, then, hey Sarah, welcome. Then you could ask me to help you find an accountability partner. So I actually had a friend who is going through their Up Mastery journey, and they were asking me, what do I do for boosts and prompts when I need motivation to get through my guidebook? Because they realized once they get to their hero journey, things will be a lot easier. They will have Up Mastery tools to work with, but right now they're struggling. And so they asked me just this morning, actually, like, is there anything you could do, Stacy, to help me? Because I can't always be there to coach everyone weekly. Sometimes right now I'm not even accepting new clients personally. I have coaches that I would be happy to refer you to if you're interested in a coach. So let me know, and I would love to have you be coached with one of my Happy Life Results coaches. But if you want to just find someone to be your accountability partner, that's another way to go. And you could reach out to someone in this group, or you could ask me for help to match you up with someone in the group that has also asked to have an accountability partner. So that's one way to do it, especially if you're an extrovert, or if you're kind of a right-brainer who likes to talk things out, or just even any kind of, in any level, anywhere you're at in your journey. Sometimes that would be helpful. So that's one thing. And then another thing for boosts and placebos and kind of crutches, as you're on your journey to Up Mastery, I have a friend who has been with me on this journey since I started. So when I was very first formulating my ideas about Up Mastery, she was with me, and we were talking and bouncing ideas back and forth. So she has been with me along the way, and she really wanted a boost or a prompt. And so I asked her, since she's been with me so long, will you come up with some boosts and prompts? Even though she was the one asking for them, I said, come up with some yourself, and then they will help anyone that I coach and anyone that comes across my book or anything. Like, come up with some. And so actually just asking her to come up with her own boosts and prompts to help me supercharged her success. So there are people, just realize there are other people struggling with their Up Mastery journey, and you could help them. And so just thinking, okay, well, what can I do personally to help myself so that I could give suggestions to other people? So I asked her to do this, and she did. And one of the things that she said was that she never told herself that she had to do her guidebook. She would just wake up in the morning and she would say, I don't have to do it today. I don't have to spend any time doing it today. And it kind of like released her from that feeling of I should, or I have to, or someone's making me, any of those kind of more negative motivators. And just by saying I don't have to, then she got excited about it. And then she was like, then I wanted to. And then I wanted to do it. So just, I know it sounds crazy, just to kind of get the bully off of your back, to stop using pain point pressure, just to tell yourself, hey, I don't have to do it today. But then don't just let it go. Explore. So say, I don't have to do it today, but if I don't have to, what could I do? And even if you thought, I don't have to do it at all, but just have your space that you usually do Up Mastery stuff, have your space available, and then sit down and say, even if you sat down with your guidebook in front of you, your pencil in your hand, your way to watch today's video, all set up in front of you, and you just said to yourself, I don't have to. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm just playing around with the ideas. I'm trying it out. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying I have to, but I'm not saying no. And so she said for some reason that worked for her, and she daily would get her amount of time in that she had allotted to do her Up Mastery study, create her guidebook. And she was explaining it to me, and she's like, I know it sounds counterintuitive and people are gonna be like, what? Telling yourself you don't have to makes it so that you do. I know, it's crazy. But yeah, it really helped her. It really helped her. So another suggestion I have is there will be moments along your journey where you're really excited about Up. Like there will be points where you had a breakthrough, or a concept made a lot of sense, and then you got that kind of energized feeling and you were like, oh, I'm so excited for this. What happened is you caught a vision of what's possible with Up Mastery. And in that moment, I would suggest that you write a note to yourself. And this is the guide helping the hero, right? But like a note to yourself and say, keep going, you're doing amazing. Any moment you spend studying Up Mastery has a 10-fold or 100-fold effect on your life in a positive way. So like even 1 minute spent in Up Mastery will improve your day so much more, you know, like something, because when you get excited about it, that's where you have that good motivation, right? And you're like, yes, I can do this. So write a note to yourself and say, you know, something like, even when it gets hard, even when I don't feel like doing it, or something like that, but it's coming from you. It's not coming from someone else, and it's coming from you in a really positive kind of excited, cheering yourself on kind of way. And so that's another way to do it, because I have definitely seen people who I've coached and friends who have gone through all of my videos who have said, there are times when I am so excited to watch today's video, and there are other days, or sometimes a week or two at a time, where I just kind of avoid it. And I don't really know why I'm avoiding it, because whenever I actually do it, my guidebook and my hero journal, whenever I actually do it, I get such good results. And so they're like, I don't really understand what's going on. And so I've encouraged them to, when they're excited about it, to write a note to themselves in a really, you know, supportive, encouraging way, and help yourself remember how, when you caught the vision, remember that and bring it into those times where you lack motivation. So that's another way. So the first way was create an accountability partner. No, the first way was to explore ways that you've learned skills in the past and apply that to Up Mastery. And then the second one was to get an accountability partner. And then the third one was to write a note to yourself. When you get excited about it, then kind of capture that memory of excitement and give it to yourself in moments of when you don't feel as motivated. So that's number 3. And then number 4 is just create a space and have your notebook or your, you know, however you're doing your guidebook, maybe you're doing it digitally, however you're doing it, have a space and a time and just plan on it. Just be like, every day at this time, I'm gonna work on Up Mastery. And it can be, okay, so this is kind of, we've talked about something similar to this. We called it tiptoeing past the bully. And my daughter is the one that coined that phrase, tiptoe past the bully. And she said, what you do is you decide to not redecide until you hit a certain point. So for example, if you're going to do a new eating strategy or you're going to have a new workout plan, say, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks and I'm not gonna redecide until day 14. And then on day 14, I can look at my decision and then decide if I want to keep going or change it or whatever. But for 2 weeks, I'm just going to decide not to redecide. And redeciding is where the bullies lie. Like whenever you've decided to do something and then you kind of pull it up and go, do I still want to do this? That's where the bully can say, you know, don't. That's where the bully comes, and then you want to rebel against the bully. So one of the other ways that I'm talking about is create a space, create a time, and then say, I'm not going to redecide. I'm going to just do it for this many days. And even if it's just for today, just like, okay, I'm going to do it at 5:30, I'm going to get up early, or I'm going to do it right before dinner or whatever, decide and then just don't redecide. Just do it. And so it's funny because it kind of feels like it's a bully thing to do, to say you have to do it at this time, but it's actually not if you do it where you decided once and then you just don't pull it up for inspection. Just say, oh yeah, I decided this already, I don't need to redecide. So that's what we call tiptoe past the bully. So that's suggestion number 4. And so then if we were to have one last suggestion, it would be to mentor someone else. So we talked about an accountability partner where you're both cheering each other on, but even better than that is to mentor someone else. So find someone who you think needs this and reach out to them and say, would you be willing to watch these videos with me? Would you be willing to create your guidebook with me, and we can share notes and we can encourage each other, and I will be here for you when you have any questions. And sometimes that one's a little bit hard to say you're the mentor if you're new to an idea. Like you're like, I'm not experienced, I don't know what I'm doing. But everyone has to start somewhere, and whenever you take the role of the teacher, even if it's just, you know, you're in a class and someone's struggling, they don't know how to do it, and you know that part, you could be like, hey, I can help you out with that. I'm not the smartest one in the class, but I know how to do that one part, so I can help you. And so just creating the mentor role is amazing, like amazing, because then you have to learn it yourself well enough to teach it to someone else. Sometimes we're not motivated enough to learn something to teach ourselves. We are the guide and we are the hero, and sometimes our hero, like we just don't feel like we have enough invested if the hero is us. But if the hero is someone else, then sometimes we get that added excitement and motivation to mentor someone else. So, and the easiest people to mentor are kids. Like kids are so open to new ideas. Kids, and then also one cool thing about mentoring kids is you have to break it down into the simplest form of explanation, which for you is incredible because you have to take all of these amazing concepts that really take a lot to explain and then say, how would I portray this in the simplest, most easy way possible? And I have found that younger children grasp onto these ideas even easier than older children because they don't have to unlearn as much. Older kids and adults, we have to unlearn something in order to learn this, but younger kids, they don't have to unlearn as much, and so they'll grasp hold of the ideas. And then, so story is a fantastic way to share this. Create a story. So we have some stories in there. We have Pavlov the dog. We have the thumb and the sun. We have different stories already in there. But if you could create a story about the lens, create a story about, you know, signals and the joystick and different things, and then teach a child that with your story, that is a really also effective way. So number 5 is mentoring. So let's go over them again. Number 1 is think about a skill you've learned in the past and apply the same strategy that you've applied to that, learning that skill, to this. And the second one is create an accountability partner, like find a partnership so you could both encourage each other. The third one is okay, so then there's this decide not to redecide, and then there's the, okay, decide not to redecide, and then, write the note to yourself. So 3 was write the note to yourself. When you're excited and motivated, encourage yourself by remembering those times when you had a lot of clarity and encourage yourself. 4 was the decide not to redecide, so tiptoe past the bully. And then 5 is mentor someone, and I suggested mentoring a child. So those were my suggestions, my boosts and placebos. If you guys have any that you want to, some people give themselves in like rewards, like if I do my Up Mastery for 5 days straight, then I can treat myself, or you know, different things like that. I've talked to people who have done things like that to motivate themselves, and that one is tricky because sometimes if you are using the bully to do it, then you might just say, well, if I'm giving myself the reward, why not just reward myself without doing the work? So, but then, okay, really quick, this isn't one of the 5, but this is just an added thing, and that is, whenever you've actually sat down and you're creating your guidebook, you're writing in your hero journal, you're listening to today's video, whenever you're in the midst, focused and doing it, think about how much work it is. Usually when you've already when you've already started, you're already doing it, there's not a lot of momentum and work involved. It's kind of fun and you're enjoying it and there's new ideas. And so while you're doing it, it's not that hard, but it's the trying to get yourself to do it sometimes that's the hardest part. So if you just realize that, say, hey, once I actually sit down and do this, it's pretty easy. I'm fine. It's just, I feel like it's hard, but once I get doing it, it's not that hard. So just reminding yourself, hey, when I'm actually studying up mastery, it's fun and easy. For some reason, I just feel like it's hard to get started. And so realize, okay, if I just realize that and just go, okay, once I start, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, so, and then just even 15 minutes a day, just listen to your video and write a few notes. Just comment on the video or comment on today's quote. Just that will be enough to keep you going. Of course, I would suggest any more than that would be fantastic, because the more you do now, the more you do when you're feeling kind of okay inside, the better you will handle the next crisis, and may not even have a crisis because you approach it so differently. But anyway, so just those were just some added thoughts. But anyway, we all miss Jason. He's not here today, but hopefully he'll be here next week. And I'm just so glad to be here with you guys, and hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you everyone for joining, and catch you next week. I actually catch you on tomorrow's video and then catch you live next week. Okay, bye.